The age-old question, what's the secret to getting in shape? Work out, eat right, and stay consistent. All right, so there is no secret. But that answer, it doesn't really tell you everything. That's why in this video, we wanted to go over the fundamentals of training and the things you need to know when starting to work towards building your perfect physique.
This episode is brought to you by the Buff app. Find it in the Play Store and Apple.
First things first, let's go over training in simple terms. Fitness or weight training is placing stress on your body, and through the magic of adaptation, your body eventually becomes better and stronger. But before you start your self-inflicted destruction to slowly evolve into a better version of yourself, it's best to know what your goal is, because that will determine how you should train. Now this would fall under something that's called specificity. Specificity is when you want to get good at something, you do that very thing you want to get good at. So let's say you want to become a better swimmer, you swim more. You want to get better at jumping, you jump more. You get stronger, well, you lift heavy weights. Seems pretty simple, and it is, kind of. It's all about targeting the ways your body can adapt to specific stress. That's why a marathon runner's training will be very different from a powerlifter's. We use something that's called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, for our body's energy currency. The body doesn't have an unlimited supply of this, but it does have ways to replenish this currency when it runs low. This is where the body's energy systems come in. The body has three energy systems: ATP, CP, or phosphagen system, glycolytic system, and oxidative system. The first energy pathway is the phosphagen system and does not require oxygen, so this would be considered anaerobic metabolism. Your body will use this pathway for intense and short bouts of exercise that last anywhere from 0 to 10 seconds, like sprinting, jumping, and heavy weightlifting. ATP can be replenished from creatine phosphate. Now, creatine phosphate is converted and stored inside the muscles from food like beef, chicken, and salmon. The glycolytic system will utilize glycogen that is found in the muscles and glucose in blood to produce ATP, which is made and replenished from carbohydrates. The body will use the glycolytic system for intense exercise that lasts anywhere from 10 seconds to 2 minutes, like high-intensity interval training or exercise that contain a little bit higher rep ranges. And similar to the phosphagen system, this energy pathway is also using anaerobic metabolism, but can also use aerobic metabolism in some cases. The last energy pathway is the oxidative system. This system will use oxygen to convert carbohydrates, fats, and sometimes amino acids from proteins into ATP. It'll be used for long duration and low to moderate intensity exercise that lasts anywhere from 2 minutes to hours. Now, since this pathway is using oxygen to convert its energy, it's using aerobic metabolism. Now that you have a better understanding of your energy system, let's go over the different muscle fiber types in the body and how they are utilized. There's a type 1 muscle fiber, which is called slow twitch, and a type 2 muscle fiber, which is fast twitch. The slow twitch muscle fibers will primarily rely on aerobic metabolism, using oxygen for energy. They'll contract slower, which in turn will allow them to have a higher fatigue resistance and be used for sustained activities like long distance running, cycling, and day-to-day activities. The fast twitch muscle fibers fall into two categories: type 2A and type 2B. Fast twitch muscle fiber type 2A is a bit like a middle ground to slow twitch and fast twitch. They'll use a combination of aerobic and anaerobic metabolism. They'll contract faster than type 1, but slower than type 2B. The type 2B fibers will be the fastest and rely primarily on anaerobic metabolism, using stored glycogen for energy. Now this will cause them to fatigue quickly due to the limited oxygen use and lactic acid buildup, but they'll be larger in diameter and be used for activities like weight training. So depending on your goal and how you train, you'll be able to strengthen those energy pathways and different muscle fibers. And that's why if you see a powerlifter try to run a marathon, they won't be breaking any records. And same goes for marathon runners trying to lift really heavy weights. But regardless of your goal, you'll have to make a point to continually increase the difficulty of your training week by week, month by month, and year by year. This is what's called progressive overload. In a nutshell, progressive overload is a training method that involves gradually increasing the stress on your body to improve your strength, endurance, and muscle mass. So there's several ways to introduce progressive overload, and one of those ways that is probably the most well-known one is going to be increasing your weight over the weeks. So let's say you're performing squats with 135 pounds and your goal is to get 10 repetitions. When you're first starting out, those 10 repetitions might feel very difficult and you might not even be able to achieve those 10 reps. But after weeks of training with 135 pounds, all of a sudden you can easily get 10 repetitions with 135 pounds. Now, to introduce that progressive overload, what you want to do is increase that weight, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, So that way, when you perform squats with that increased weight, let's say 145 pounds, you're barely achieving those 10 repetitions. And as you keep doing that over the months, all of a sudden you're busting out 225 pounds. Now, another way is increasing your volume. Now, volume is your total amount of weight lifted per workout. Now, let's say you're not increasing your weight in your exercises, but you can increase your total volume in your workout by increasing the amount of repetitions you do per exercise and also the amount of sets you do per exercise as well. The third way is going to be frequency, the amount of times you work out a body group per week. So let's say you want to develop your calves. Your goal is to increase the size of your calves and strength in there. Well, instead of just working your calves once a week, you work them twice a week or maybe even 3 times a week. Now, this will introduce a lot more stimulus and load overall throughout the week on your calves and really help them grow. Now, all of that can be a little overwhelming to keep track of, and that's why it's so important to log everything you do in the gym. So that way you have something physically that you can look at that you've done previously and also what your goal is in the future. But having a physical copy of that can sometimes be a pain. I know for myself, I always struggled keeping track of my weights through a workout logbook. But thankfully, technology comes in, and that's why it's so important to have a workout fitness app to keep track of all of this for you. And that's one of the main reasons me and my brother Hudson built our own app. I mean, we built it from scratch. It's been a goal for years, and it's finally coming to fruition. But we didn't want to just make a workout fitness app. We wanted to make it fun. We wanted to make it interesting for the user. And really for us, growing up with video games, especially RPGs, that leveling system was so important to motivate you. And of course, in real life, you're really doing the same thing. You're leveling up in the gym. And that's why in the app, you are a video game character. You level up, you have experience points, you gain per workout. You can obviously track your reps, your weights. There's a community page where you can talk to other people, you can become friends with them, you can see what they've done, their workouts. You can also have programs that we've designed for specific goals in mind that you can perform. And really it's all based around these fundamentals, the compound movements, the isolations, the progressive overload. And that's why it is so extremely important to not only keep track of, because that's when you'll see all your levels go up in the real world, but it's also a great way to stay motivated. Having something that you can look at, that you can see your profile, you can see your levels, you can see your numbers go up, and that's really gonna keep you coming back to the gym. So we're super happy with this app, but also we just know how important it is to keep track of everything and have it right in the palm of your hands. And if you're curious and you wanna check it out for yourself, you can find it either on Apple or Android in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. All right, let's move on to exercises. There are many different ways of training, and as you progress through your fitness journey, your training will change and adapt. But if you're starting out, we would advise you to start with compound exercises. Compound exercises are a movement that will utilize multiple joints and muscles at once and put stress on your entire body, teaching you how to brace your core, increase balance, enhance strength, and boost stability. Some great examples of compound exercises are squats, deadlifts, bent over rows, bench press, and overhead press. As you expand your training, you might begin to implement more isolation exercises. An isolation exercise is a movement that utilizes a single joint and will help pinpoint a single muscle group, which will help you target areas you want to pay closer attention to. Some examples of isolation exercises are bicep curls, skull crushers, lateral raises, leg extensions, and Romanian deadlifts. And once you get more familiar with exercises, what muscles they work, and how to perform them, you'll be able to cater your workouts to your specific needs. As we talked about earlier, working out can place a lot of stress on the body, which at times can increase your chance for injury. Now, this is where the importance of mobility comes in. It will not only help with injury prevention, but it will also increase your performance. A quick rundown of joints you need to remember to concentrate on and ones that need to be mobile are the neck or cervical spine, the shoulders, the wrists, the thoracic spine, the hips, and the ankles. If these joints are not mobile, oftentimes the joints that need to be stable or the non-mobile joints like the knees, lumbar spine, and elbows can begin to compensate for the immobility of the others, and that will lead to pain and possible injury. Now, some simple mobility exercises we'd recommend are full squat. Focusing on ankle, hip, and thoracic spine mobility, this one simple movement is a mobility powerhouse. Try flexing in your spine and adding rotation to bring in extra mobility to your thoracic spine. Lateral squats. This will work on hip and ankle mobility. For extra ankle mobility, keep your feet pointing forward as you laterally squat. For a deeper lateral squat and one that will target hip mobility, point your toes outward. Pass-throughs. Bringing the shoulders through a complete 360-degree rotation, this will help with shoulder mobility and health. Make sure you elevate your shoulders as you bring your arms over your head. Now try with a wider grip at first and increase the difficulty by narrowing your grip. T-spine rotations. Targeting mobility in the thoracic spine, T-spine rotations can help alleviate back pain. Implementing these simple mobility exercises in your daily routine can do wonders on how you perform and how you feel. Now it's time to put all this information into practice. So we're gonna be performing a 5x5 program today, which is 5 sets of 5 repetitions done on each exercise. Now, one of the reasons why we recommend this program, especially to beginners, is because it prioritizes a few things. One is gonna be compound movements. It is a full body workout done 3 times a week, so it's a higher frequency, but it is slightly lower volume on each muscle group. And we're gonna be starting this workout with a little bit of mobility, much like we discussed earlier, and we're gonna be focusing on full body. So this first one, of course, the full squat, kind of working on that hip mobility, ankle mobility, even thoracic spine by twisting in a little bit here. So the goal for mobility is not only to use it for injury prevention, but to really warm the body up before any heavy exercises, so that way you can perform them correctly and feel good. So we're just gonna be going through the full body mobility real quick and then get into the exercises. All right, feeling limber, feeling good, warmed up and ready to go. And I'll typically start a workout with a warm-up set. Sometimes every exercise, depending on if it's a compound or isolation. Usually compound exercises, I'll just do a warm-up set to feel it out, make sure my form is correct, make sure I'm feeling warmed up enough before moving on to the really heavy weight. Now, if you're first starting out, how do you know what your weight is, the correct weight to start? Well, you won't until you actually just start lifting weight to see how heavy it is. Obviously, you want to start lighter. And if you do more reps with that lighter weight, totally fine. It's just a good place to start to see where your strength lies, see how comfortable you are with the exercise. Right now, I'm starting with 135 pounds on squats just to warm up. I'll probably perform around 10 reps, and I won't count that set. That's just a warm up. After that, I'll go up in weight to my 5 rep limit and then start my working sets. Form is going to be extremely important in every exercise you perform, and sometimes you just don't know what the proper form is, especially when you're starting out. That's why in the app, there's a little function here where you can click on the exercise you want to perform, and boom, a little GIF pops up showing what it should look like. Also some details about the exercise. This is a compound movement used with a barbell and the muscles worked. A written tutorial on what you should keep in mind, what you should do in this exercise, and also a video attached if you want a little bit more of a detailed breakdown on how to perform the exercise. So a very useful tool, and the major reason why we included it in the app. We're gonna be performing 5 sets of 5 reps with this weight. Now there's a few other things that you wanna keep in mind. One is gonna be range of motion. Range of motion is really, let's say, if you're flexing in your arm, the full range of motion is gonna go from complete extension to complete flexion and back. That is full range of motion of your arm, of that joint, that muscle. In a squat, a full range of motion is going down as far as you can with good form, and then extending back up to top position. So let's say you're going really heavy with squats, which of course is the goal for this program, this 5x5 program. But if you're going really heavy and you're performing squats and you're coming down to here and back up, because you know and you feel like if you get down to this area, you won't be able to get back up, you're going too heavy. You want to lighten the load so that way you can continue to get that full range of motion. Typically, you try to get your hip crease, or the crease that your hip makes when you flex at the hips there, below your knee. That's a pretty good range of motion there for a squat. And that's difficult. So a lot of times when you're doing that full range of motion in any exercise, you're usually gonna go a little lighter than maybe you're typically used to, or just start a lot lighter so that way you can get that full range of motion on every exercise. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, there's gonna be some rest time in between sets because that takes a lot of energy to perform. And you'll notice I'm out of breath. My body's trying to take in oxygen. We were talking about the energy pathways in the beginning. ATP used from 0 to 10 seconds. So initially in the first stage of this exercise, it's using that ATP. As it starts running out, it slowly goes into the glycolytic pathway. And after your set, because this isn't that many reps, only 5 reps. So now, while I'm resting, the body is now going into the oxidative pathway, bring in more oxygen to try to get that energy back. So rest times on the 5x5 are gonna be a bit longer. They're gonna be up to 3 minutes to really try to get all that energy back. So that way you're ready to perform the maximum weight with 5 repetitions again, because you have 5 sets of that. There you go, that was the last set of bent over rows. Now we're onto some bench press. Now, one thing can be very discouraging is not really seeing results. I mean, let's say you followed everything that's in the video, you've been training consistently, but you're not seeing your strength go up, you're not seeing change in the mirror or on the scale or anything like that. Well, you're just gonna have to tell yourself to trust the process and to have patience. I mean, some people might see results within a couple weeks, and some people, it might take them a couple months. Make sure you just stay on a specific program, keep your goal in mind, stick with that, and make sure you log everything. And although you might not see changes every day or every week, eventually, over the months, you will be able to look back on where you started and then see that change. I mean, give yourself a year, give yourself 2 years to start seeing major change. You just have to think you're in the long game. You're in it for the long haul, and only then are you gonna make actual substantial change. There are a few more things to take in consideration in your fitness journey, and one of those things is sleep. It's pretty well known that we need around 8 hours of sleep a night. Sleep is a huge part of recovery, and recovery is how you'll make progress. Because if you're not recovering properly from your workouts, well, you'll never get the results you want. Some of the benefits of sleep are muscle repair through growth hormone and testosterone production, ATP and glycogen replenishment, decreasing inflammation, helping to reduce DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness, and improved blood flow that will aid in circulating nutrients and oxygen throughout the body. Now, try to get to bed around the same time every night, as building a consistent schedule is very important. And stay away from harsh blue lighting like your phone, computer, or TV screen at least 1 to 2 hours before bed. Something else that is extremely important is hydration. Drink water and drink lots of it. We consist of around 70% water, so in order to help the body function correctly, we need to give it what it needs. Some of those important functions include temperature regulation, digestion, nutrient absorption, waste removal, joint lubrication, skin health, oxygen delivery, and more. The amount of water a person needs varies, but the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine recommends that healthy men should consume around 15.5 cups of water a day, and women around 11.5 cups. Factors that can increase your fluid needs include exercise, hot weather, high altitude, a high fiber diet, caffeine, and alcohol intake. Now, you can monitor your hydration by checking the color of your urine in the morning. Urine that's straw or lemonade colored indicates that you're hydrated, while urine that's darker in color like apple juice indicates that you're dehydrated. So there you go, a beginner's guide to working out. I hope this video helped you out in some small way. And working out is only part of the journey. The other part is nutrition. That's why we made a whole video all about nutrition that you can find right here. And make sure you download the Buff Fitness app. We're really looking forward to seeing you on it, and we know it's gonna help you with your fitness journey. So until we see you next time, as always, stay buff.